look, it's not the best Marvel movie. It's definitely like bottom half of the Marvel movies. It's not Thor: The Dark World. I don't even think Thor: The Dark World's that bad. I'm not saying this movie's bad. It's just not as good as a lot of other movies. And a big part of that, I think, is just because, again, kind of what you're saying, where how much better would an Infinity War would have been, or of Endgame would have been if we would have had the story in there, and how much more her death would have meant in Endgame. I mean, one simple switch to this would have been to put this into phase three and move Far From Home into phase four and have that the starting one. Because that last Spider-Man movie felt disjointed from the whole thing. Not disjointed, but it felt like it didn't fit into that story. It felt like that should have been the launch pad for phase four. At least to me, because it really goes into the fallout of Tony Stark and the Stark Tech and all that stuff. So one simple thing they could have done to change this around. I mean, obviously there's a lot of logistics behind it, but they should have really had this into phase three and moved, in my opinion, Spider-Man 2 over to phase four, and that would have made a lot of difference. Far From Home. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were dropping trailers of Far From Home, like, while it was still in the theater. You could have had this one before. You could have put this movie in between Endgame and Infinity War, and then came out with Endgame, and then ended Phase 3, and then brought out Spider-Man: Far From Home for Phase 4. I think that would have made a lot more sense. I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020, but, overall as a movie, it was just kind of boring, I thought. You know, eh, the problem I had, I thought that her family was cool and everything. I just thought at times it was a little bit more too comedic. I know we kind of touched about what we predicted from this and stuff, and I really do think it was a little too jokey at times, especially when you're dealing with some pretty messed up topics where th- they're basically like mutilating these girls and stuff, and you can go into some pretty dark topics. I wish it would have been a lot more like Winter Soldier. I wanted to be a lot more like Winter Soldier, where it was more like a spy movie, and it didn't feel like a spy movie to me. Like where she's on the run. That it should have felt like Winter Soldier, and it didn't feel like that at all. Um, I'd say in terms of like the biggest disappointment, I thought Taskmaster was a massive disappointment. Nothing. Yeah, I mean well, I mean if I want to spoil it, I'll spoil it, but Taskmaster is not that. And number one, he's a guy, but number two, and I kind of predicted that midway through the movie. I don't know if you like thought of it, but there were some certain things that like kind of um pointed towards that early on, that it was going to be evil Russian guy's daughter. And I had a feeling it was going to be about 45 minutes into the way, especially after that first fight on the bridge with him. I think it's the first time she meets that guy, or meets Taskmaster, meets her, I should say. After that scene, for some reason, I got like a female vibe out of her, and obviously they had kind of already went into like the story about how when her and Hawkeye were in, I can't remember what city they were in, but they blew up the Russian guy's house and ended up killing his daughter or whatever. I just had a feeling it was going to be her, and I thought that was the kind of the weakest part. And I will say, like, in terms of messaging, and you and I, we both are probably rolling our eyes when we see like the over the top, the over the top female empowerment message. I got to credit this movie. I didn't feel like that at all. I don't know about how you felt. Like, look at Endgame. There's the one scene. It's just like, okay, we're like, okay, we got you. She's not alone. So like all of them just somehow happen to be there at the exact same time. But again, you could say that for the whole thing. Like they all happen to be there at the exact same time, right? But that part of that was a little, that scene itself was kind of it was just a little cheesy, I thought. But with having a movie that was so centered around like female spy characters that were supposed to be these kick-ass characters, I didn't feel like it was over the top, like men or females are better than men, or females can do whatever men can do. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
It did a good job of balancing that out. So I got to kind of give it credit when it's not there, because if I knock on it when it's there, which it happens to be all the time, I've got to give it credit when it doesn't do stuff like that. So overall, yeah, I agree. Is it David Harbour was the Red Guardian from Stranger Things?
Yeah, I know he's from
He
Stranger
was pretty good.
Things. Yeah,
He
he was
was pretty
fine.
good. I wish, I hope we get a Captain America 4 where it's I just wish we could get another Captain America movie where, and maybe we'll see this in the What If series, where it's back in the day and maybe he fights the Red Guardian in his prime and stuff. So,
Oh,
um,
okay. I was gonna say
yeah, I mean,
there's like two things that really pissed me off more than anything. Was like, oh, we can't find the red room or something. And sure enough, it's up in the fucking sky. I'm just like, Jesus Christ! It's like the 20th or 60th time I've seen, oh, there's a facility up in the sky and no one can find it. I was like, that's bullshit. That pissed me off more than anything. So I was like, all right, sure. And then like near the and then like after the it's not the end credit, but the post one where she dyes her hair blonde, and I thought there was gonna be like a at least like a small scene where Steve Rogers is like, "Hey, Natasha, kind of like a meeting thing. That's where they left off, and okay, then that's where they come together, and that's where they've been on the run for like those 2 years when Ross was trying to chase them and things like
yeah.
that." So I was that's that I remember I said that out loud. I was like, man, that's bullshit. I would have loved to see like at least two lines or maybe like a call from saying, hey,
You wouldn't even have
Natasha.
you wouldn't have. So at the end of think about this. At the end of Civil War, like right, what happens at the end? She goes to the raft at the end of this, right? Or she breaks her friends. She's planning to go break her friends out of the raft, essentially.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
at the end of
yeah.
Civil War, the only thing that happens is in the post credit scene, not the end credit scene, but the mid credit scene, I should say. Um, Steve Rogers comes out of the darkness, and I don't think he says a word, and then it just cuts to black, and
Just
then goes to
like,
credit.
I'll be there, and then cut.
So I wish there would have been something like that. You couldn't even, you wouldn't even have had to have Chris Evans there. You could have just had him reuse a line from something else, or just have him do a line
Or just have like a body
and put it in
double.
there.
Have a body double like
Yeah.
they do with Superman, kind of
I
like
mean,
that.
there's ways to do it, and it would have been cool. It would have made it a little bit more jointed, because you really don't know what happens between Civil War
And Infinity
and
War.
Infinity War when they come out of at the train station in like Germany or wherever they're at with Vision and Wanda.
Yeah.
Um, so it would have been cool to see like, oh, yep, Cap's gonna come help her out.
Yep.
One other thing that I not really want to talk about, but I haven't heard really anybody talk about how annoying this guy was. Her friend that got her weapons, I could not stand
Oh,
that guy.
really?
I could
Really?
not stand that guy. It was like there was nothing serious going on. It wasn't like big FBI, big government agencies were out to kill her. It was just like it was just a running gag that this guy was just popping up
he can
like
he can grab anything.
aircraft and
Yeah,
like
he can get
it was
anything.
just a joke. That part of me was joke, and then it was like he's supposed to be like this secret guy, and then all of a sudden her sister knows. I didn't like that guy. He just felt like totally
Out of
out of
place.
left field. It would have been cooler if she just had that stuff, like
Yeah.
the way Samuel L. Jackson's character just has these like outposts and weapon stashes. Like she just goes to a tarmac and like
There's like a
pulls
safe
off a thing.
house.
There should be it should just be her own network. Then she has this own way to get off the grid herself. She shouldn't
Hmm.
need this random douchebag. That part pissed me off.
Oh, there was like that at the very beginning of Ross. You know how he was with the cane and everything, and
Hmm.
how like Natasha's like, oh, you just went through your fourth bypass of cancer or something.
Yep.
But that kind of threw me off. I was like, well, he looked a lot better in Infinity War than he did in this one. So I was kind of like, that threw me up for a loop, you know.
Yeah.
So that was
Well,
like
they mention it. They mention it in Civil War that he has a triple bypass,
oh,
and that's right before this movie. And then I think he has a heart attack again, like in between Civil War and this movie. So that's why he looks terrible. And you barely ever really see him in Infinity War. He's just in the hologram when they go back to like the Avengers base.
because like he looked. I mean, he looked fine in Infinity War. I mean, it's just a
Hmm.
hologram, but he could walk and all this other stuff. But that caught me
Yep.
off guard. I'm like, oh, he has a cane. I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what threw me off about that. Um, but I would say yeah, Taskmaster. Like when they said like, what did you had to do to like, what cost you your humanity to get your freedom or to defect or whatever. And of course, like when they had like the guy at the about to blow up the building, and then there's the daughter. I'm like, okay, I know that bitch is gonna be alive somehow, And there I was like, well, there it is, right there. I'm like, okay, spoiler, woo, you know. I was like, oh my god, so cliche.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are the ending I didn't really like. Like
Yeah,
all
like
the
he she.
all the Black Widows like living, and they're like, "You're not a." That was, I don't know. There's just I did not like that. It wasn't my like I said, it wasn't the worst Marvel movie, but it was definitely it's one of those Marvel movies that I probably won't watch again.
Yeah,
Like
like
I really won't.
I didn't get the
Like
whole
Winter
like.
Soldier, Endgame, Infinity War, Civil War, Black Panther, Thor 3. Those are movies that I watch all the time.
Yeah,
I just can't see myself popping this movie in. The Spider-Man movies, I watch those. I can't see me watching this movie much.
like I think that other thing too that said when she decided to go with Ross, it said 3 weeks or 4 weeks later. I'm just kind of like, so what happened in that whole time period? She just went with them and then just decided to escape again. I don't know. There's like so much
No, no,
stuff.
no. So I don't think she. I think at the end she actually didn't go with him. She escaped because she had the chopper or something. She got out of there. She
Oh,
didn't go with him.
oh, okay. It made it look like she just
Yeah, I
it
know what you're
did.
saying because the way the trucks were coming into the
Yeah,
crash,
yeah,
and it made it seem like oh she was just gonna wait there and
yeah.
instead of like buy them time to get out.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's I totally get what get what you're saying. I don't think that's what actually happened though. I think she went on the run. That's why she dyed her hair blonde again.
Okay.
She was on the run to go like with Steve to bust everybody out of the raft.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that I think I asked that too. I was kind of like, well, what the fuck? I don't know. I had a question about that too, and even like I took my brother with me to go see it, and then
Yep.
I was just kind of like, I am
No,
so
I
confused with
get
the
what you're
whole.
saying. I thought that's what she was gonna do too, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a second, this isn't exactly how it went down. Unless she did go with Ross and then was like a double agent against to keep tabs on Steve Rogers or something. But again, that's like speculation, I guess, at this point. But
You're thinking
yeah,
you're reaching too hard.
yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't know. I like I said, I probably won't watch that movie again.
um.
It wasn't that great.
Well, I guess we'll touch on the end credit scene where I guess
Yeah, we gotta talk about that for sure.
that was amazing because like I remember when the end credit scene. So it's like this is like right after Endgame, after pretty much the aftermath of Endgame, and I still don't, I don't even know who the sister's name.
I don't know. Honestly can't
But
remember
anyway,
her name.
anyway, it's blonde widow. I'm gonna call her that, blonde widow.
Blonde Widow's good. I
Blonde
like
widow.
that.
We'll call her blonde. Yeah, blonde widow. So she's at the she's at the at Black Widow's grave and everything. Then all of a sudden it's I don't know I don't even know her fucking character, but it's
Dave Fontaine. I
Dave.
can't remember her first
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, but she made an appearance and I fucking was jumping up my chair like, oh my
Dude,
god, I know her.
it's like it's funny because like I watched this for I think I watched it before you and
Yeah,
I
you
messaged
watched it
you
first.
after I watched it. I was like, for anybody watching the TV shows right now, you're gonna have to watch the end credit scene. You're gonna love it. Like you're gonna love it.
Yep.
So when she pops up, it's like, oh, that's exactly what they're doing. They're setting up number
Dark
one, they're setting up Hawkeye. They're setting up Dark Avengers
Dark
or some
Avengers.
sort of
Yep.
anti-hero Avengers. You obviously have Blonde Widow. You have
The agent
uh,
zero double
the,
agent or zero
the
agent.
American agent or something. I
Yeah,
can't
or
remember his
the
name.
CIA or something
Uh,
like that.
and then I think they're gonna do. I think I saw something today on. I didn't click on the link, but I heard something else about the Thunderbolts coming. So maybe it's the Thunderbolts.
No
Maybe
freaking
that's what
way.
they're putting together. And I don't know if we'll see Thunderbolt Ross as the Red Hulk, but I mean, I gotta
Dude,
imagine that's what they're
I
going
would
for
love to
here.
see Red Hulk one day. Ah, it'd be
Yeah,
so
so they have
sick.
they have U.S. Agent, they've got Blonde Widow. I mean, who else could they get? The other question is why does she want to like
Go
kill
after
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye. Now,
Like
like,
I know, I doubt anybody knows that like he didn't
like
kill
he's
her. Like it's not
responsible.
common knowledge like
Yeah.
that's how she died, but it's not like common knowledge that he's the one who killed her. Like that, how did that misinformation get out there? So
I
it's
think
really interesting, and I don't know why she would be going after him. So what's her motivation? And
you
like
killed my
we're setting the
sister.
ground, we're setting the groundwork for two different. And I kind of touched on this last time we talked, but we're going like two paths on Phase 4. We're going the multiverse path, and we'll go into that with the Loki, and we're going like the
Movie.
anti-hero
Yeah,
path.
anti-hacks. Yeah.
Like I really feel like that's what we're doing, and I think that scene will definitely set up. Like, there's no way she doesn't show up in the Hawkeye
Oh,
show.
she better be, because now I'm like, okay, now I have a reason to watch Hawkeye, because Hawkeye's like my least favorite like
Yeah, like
character.
well, here's the thing. He's the least favorite character out of the Avengers for most people, and it's not
Yeah,
even going to be about him. It's about his daughter.
yeah. It's like
So
the next
like
Hawkeye.
it's the daughter of our least favorite character. Like nobody's gonna really want to watch that. So you better tie it in somehow to make it pretty pretty relevant. And I feel like that's that was a pretty good tie-in. That was the first real tie-in that we've got from the movie. Well, I guess because that was the first movie, but we're finally
Movie
starting to get that
and
tie-in.
TV tie-ins now, which is kind
And
of crazy.
I love it. I still think they're doing a great job, and I mean that could close out our Black Widow review. I mean, overall, I think it was like a 3.5 out of 5 for me. I don't know
Oh
what you
yeah.
thought.
No, yeah, average movie. I have to say, if it was on TV, if I had nothing to watch on like on a Saturday or Sunday, I'd be like, sure, why not? I'll put it on if I'm doing something else, type of thing. But like, would I have like the urgency to watch it again? Absolutely.